about being a parent, I guess what I can say is that, now Lucas is 10 months. And what I'm so grateful for is being able to dedicate the last 10 months to him. Yeah. Yes, of course, I've been busy with the house and all these other things, but really been able to focus my energy, my time on being a mom for him. And I've realized how valuable that is. I've watched how important it is, how it's shaped him, how just being available and being there for him, he's really developing beautifully, and he's got such a joy in his eyes. And it makes me really sad to know that there are moms out there who don't have that ability to be at home with their babies, who they give birth and 6 weeks later they need to be at their job, or 3 months later they need to be at their job. And to me, that is really a tragedy for the mother, but also a tragedy for society. And I don't think people realize why that is. Of course, for the mother, the reasons are obvious, because a mother wants to be, for the most part, a mother wants to be with her infant, with her baby. It's biologically embedded into us, because the baby needs us. But for society at a large, because babies, children, they need their primary caregiver to be available for them to help build that secure attachment. And of course, attachment is built throughout the first several years of a child's life, and it evolves throughout the childhood. But in the first year of that baby's life, it's critical. That baby needs to know that you're there so that it can go out and it can explore and it can discover, and that when it comes back, you're going to be there for him or her. And so there's like 5 decades worth of attachment theory that is out there, that's available. It's been extensively researched, and the findings are available, but society doesn't always recognize it. And I don't know why, because it really is critical. Because what happens is, if the child doesn't form a secure attachment with their caregiver, then later in life, we were just watching last night an episode of an Oprah's show with, do you remember what his name was?
Harville Hendrix.
That's
Dr.
right.
Harville Hendrix.
So he had couples on his show, and he was talking about how when you have unresolved childhood problems, those will show up in your primary relationships in life, in your intimate relationships in life. And they will continue to show up in those relationships until you use those relationships as an opportunity to grow and to resolve those problems. And so a lot of people find that, they attract the same person as their parent. My dad was this way, and I attracted the same type of man in my life. Well, that is the result of an unresolved problem from your childhood, and that person's in your life to help you to resolve that problem. So you can use that relationship as an opportunity to grow. And one thing that he doesn't mention, but is a critical piece of that, is that if the child in childhood developed a secure attachment to their primary caregiver, there wouldn't be those unresolved problems. Mm-hmm. And so that is critical, because then the child grows up and enters society as an adult and enters relationships without all of those unresolved problems, so they can freely be themselves, and to be themselves without the conflicts that they're oftentimes unconscious of, that requires a lot of work to first bring to their conscious mind and then to resolve. And so it's such an important thing. And I just feel like I'm so lucky, and I feel so blessed to be able to spend every day with him. And I just feel like I wish that every mother had that choice. Mm-hmm. And it has to be a choice, right? If maybe you don't want to, but if that is what you want, you should have that option. And unfortunately, in places like the US, like there's no maternity leave, and I don't understand that.
Yeah. Well, they just, in our society, they value productivity and money, and
that's the thing.
All of that stuff is more important than the development of our society of human beings.
But that's the false claim, is that in North America we value families. Okay, yeah. Really? Yeah. How do you value families? Show me by supporting the mothers.
Yeah. And I mean the challenge with that is that because the United States especially is such a form of capitalism more than anywhere else in the world, I mean, and the economy does so well, etc., it's like they don't want to, have, I mean, it'd be, I guess, such a significant drop in the productivity and the efficiency of the economy if women weren't working X period of time. It would hurt businesses, maybe less businesses be inclined to hire women for that purpose. I don't know. But yeah, it's not, it's not the most conducive for the development of human beings. And some places in Europe, they give much better maternity leave. They value that more. Yes, they're not as great of an economy, not as much wealth as there is in the United States, but it's not all about that, right? And that's where you have to shift your values. And I think that's, obviously not every woman has that opportunity to be a stay-at-home mom because the cost of living is so much as well. But I think, for us, the saving grace and the thing that we can always point to that we're so grateful for is having an online business. And I'm so grateful that that's now an option for people, and an option for women, an option for moms, because how many women follow you that are moms and they want to build an online business? Because why go to work at a job and leave your child with someone else at a daycare or whatever it might be, when instead every preference, I think, for most women that are moms would want to be at home with their child and to have something that has flexibility. They can be at home. I mean, yes, some jobs you can work from home now, a lot of remote work and everything, especially since COVID, but I think that is probably more of an ideal situation for many women, and is why many of them are attracted to an online business. They're attracted to you and what you teach and share. And I mean, I think that's such a privilege that I think, having that freedom has allowed you over the last 10 months to be able to raise them in the ways that you've wanted to.
I'm grateful every single day for it. I'm grateful every single day for this financial freedom so that I can have this time with him. And it's all thanks to building the online business and to making, good sums of money so that we can both be dedicated to the things that we're interested in. And let me clarify though that I'm not talking about being a stay-at-home mom, because what I'm talking about is the tragedy is when women don't have the maternity leave. Right. So they don't get the choice to spend.
Those early few months are so critical.
I honestly think the first year is critical. Like when I look at Lucas now, yes, he's more independent than he was at 3 months old, but he still needs me. I watch him so closely, and I watch how when he goes off and he explores and he discovers something new, he always turns back to look at me to see my expression, because he doesn't know. He's discovering the world for the first time. He doesn't know if something's good, if something's bad, if it's safe. He looks at me to see my expression, to base how he should feel about something. So if I smile and I say, okay, go ahead, then he goes forward. Mm-hmm. But if I look concerned or if I say no, he resorts back to me. And so he needs me there for that validation so that he can go off and discover the world. And I think that is massively important. And yes, I agree that I am passionate about building an online business for this reason. Now, this is my new reason for continuing to create content and share with people, with women particularly, about the opportunities of building online businesses. I may not be doing it myself right now because I don't need to start another business right now. I'd rather dedicate that time to my son or to my activities that fill me up. But that doesn't mean that I think that it's not necessary. I think it's so valuable for women to be able to make income online. You don't have to go off and build a multi-million-dollar business, but to make enough income to replace your previous job so that you can work from home. And oftentimes with an online business, once you build the foundation and it's up and running, it's going to require far less time than what you would have to commit to your job. And the beautiful thing is you can log in the morning, spend an hour or two working, go visit your child, then come back. Like you have that flexibility. And I think it's really opens up the door to a new experience of motherhood. Mm-hmm. I personally think that, and not everyone's going to like this, but I personally think, anyone can become a mother. It happens very easily. It takes work to be a good mother. But it takes dedication to be a great mother. And it takes time dedication to be a great mother. Mm-hmm. And I know that some people think, well, I can, it's quality time versus quantity. But I don't think that's the case at this age. It is about quantity. If you're gone all day, and we have a nanny, And I don't even use her for the time that she's here. I don't use her all that time. I like to go in and I like to spend time with Lucas, and I like to be there because I know that if I did that, he now, it's great that she loves him and that she has a great relationship with him. I'm very lucky about that. But he's going to build that bond with her. And I want that for myself. Like I want that for us to have that special bond.
Yeah. Well, you've really dived deep into this niche of being a mother, child development. And it's amazing how big of a niche that it is. Like the books that you've read, the audiobooks, the podcasts, the videos, the experts. And, there's so much information out there that's available now in terms of developing a secure human being, someone who's happy, someone who's well developed. And there's just so much that we know now that our parents didn't know. Like our parents, whenever we share a lot of these things with them, they don't realize how outdated it is, or just like that's the old school way of thinking about it. And there's so much science and studies and all of that. It's now available today. And I enjoy Dr. Gabor Mate.
I love him.
Who's an expert on trauma. And he talks
great.
about the abandonment of children at such a young age and the trauma that produces, and just how unnatural that it is and how it affects things. And I think, yeah.
Yeah, so for example, those of you guys listening, think of if there's any unresolved childhood conflicts in your life and how that comes up in your relationship and how it can make being in relationships so difficult. And that's why they say that your partner is your spiritual teacher and your child is your spiritual teacher. Because what they do is, those are the two closest relationships in your life if you have children. They're so close. And because they're so close, they will mirror you. And so you now see things in them that irritate you, that trigger you. And instead of running away from those things or telling your partner to not say that or whatever it is, it's like you have to take it upon yourself and see that as an opportunity that, wow, that trigger is highlighting something in me that's unresolved. And they're my spiritual teacher because they're featuring that, they're showcasing that in me. I'm allowed to now discover this thing that was previously unconscious, and it's come to my conscious awareness that I can now resolve it. And that, when you resolve that, that liberates you on a whole new level. And then you have a much better relationship with your partner. You have a much more authentic and natural relationship with your children. You stop projecting your own issues. And it allows you to be in relationship with people, with everyone in your life, beautifully. And relationships become so much easier. And so if we all, are able to raise secure children, we alleviate them of the burden of going through life now needing to resolve all of that, that stuff. It's huge. And so that's why, yes, I have consumed a lot of content. I've learned a lot, but it's because I see parenthood as a huge responsibility. Like I said, I don't just want to be a mother, I want to be a great mother. And to me, that means realizing what that responsibility is. And that every decision I'm making for him, I'm making on his behalf. I'm making on his behalf, and I need to make sure that that's something that is going to benefit him for many years to come. I'm not just on a whim making a decision about his health, which is something that I spend a lot of time on, because there's so many decisions when you have a baby that you make regarding their health, from, vaccines, from circumcision, from when they get sick, what are you giving them, from, there's so many decisions that you make on behalf of that baby who cannot speak. And to me, that weighs heavily. And so, I research a lot, but then I feel very good about the decisions I make, because I feel like I really weighed out all my options.
Yeah. There's so much here that I think what is exciting is that you can share a lot of this. And that's, as you said, one of your new purposes for doing this is that you have a lot to share, a lot of things that you've learned that you've been able to benefit from, that I think a lot of people don't have the opportunity to learn. They don't have the time to learn. You've gone really, really deep into this, and you're very passionate about it. And I think a lot of people can benefit. And I think going back to an online business, again, not everyone has that same opportunity. I think this can be a very sensitive subject for mothers, because every mother wants to do the best they can, and they feel a sense of guilt when they do have to go back to work, or they do they do have to use a daycare or whatever it is, and it's very difficult to maybe acknowledge that, yeah, maybe, things are not the most ideal circumstance, because you don't want to feel guilty. You don't want to feel bad about yourself. And so it's a very sensitive thing.
It's not about that.
But
people feel defensive about that because they don't want to feel that guilt. But what I'm saying is the tragedy is in the system.
Yeah.
It's the social construct that we have right now, where we value success and making money above the family.
Yeah.
And we've all been indoctrinated to think that way.
Yeah.
In North America, at least, when you go and you travel, that's the beauty of traveling, and you experience other cultures, and you see, how people do things in other countries. And you go to, for example, Greece, and, at 12 o'clock, do you see any of the stores open?
Yeah. So a lot of stores, they close during the day because it's,
So you would never see that in capitalist North America.
Yeah.
That's money wasted. That's money, potential earnings that are gone.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, we need to have our break. We need to have our siesta. We need to take our time for lunch. And so they have a different value system than we do. And so I think like the tragedy here is that value system. And the mother's not to blame for this. The mother who needs to go to work to support her family is not to blame for this.
Yeah.